And we're back with another Knights football preview, covering UCF's first ever Big 12 homecoming against the West Virginia Mountaineers. After a hard-fought game against Oklahoma that unfortunately ended with a nail-biting 31-29 L to the Sooners, the Knights returned home after almost a month away to face a WVU team that had lost 48-34 against the Oklahoma State Cowboys. Will the Knights finally be able to break their 4-loss streak and gain their first Big 12 win? Can the Knights fix their fourth quarter troubles? What's up, Knight Nation? My name is AC Flo, and I am just hoping and praying for a Knights W.
This season, a new era dawns upon us. From humble beginnings to national prominence.
Unbeaten, 13-0.
Our history is big, but our future is bigger.
The Knights are 0-2 against the Mountaineers, playing their last game against West Virginia in 2004, losing the game 45-20. Now, 19 years later, the two are in the same league, with a budding rivalry growing since West Virginia is one of the closest Big 12 schools to UCF. Itching to see their first win in Big 12 play after suffering some heartbreaking defeats, the Knights plan to make this rivalry 1-2 on the Saturday before Halloween. Despite their loss to the Sooners, I consider this game to be a moral victory, and I honestly believe in the Knights way more than I have the past couple of games. Here is some feedback, both positive and negative, of what I gathered from Saturday. Following our bye week, we saw many familiar faces re-enter the field after weeks of injury. Notable players include Ricky Barber, Alec Collar, and of course, JRP. With the mending of our football team, we should expect a refreshed start in the back half of this season. In all honesty, the hardest stretch of the season is behind us, and our schedule is looking brighter because of it. Speaking of Plumlee, he had a phenomenal game last week, completing over 50% of his passes for 248 yards, while also rushing for a touchdown that saw the Knights eventually gain the lead against the Sooners. Having a healthy Plumlee back definitely helped boost the morale of our Knights, egging them on to do their best to defeat Oklahoma. For the first time this year, UCF went through an entire game without giving the ball to the other team. Plumlee himself managed 3 touchdowns without throwing to the Sooner defense. The receiving and running core also maintained good ball control throughout the 60 minutes of playtime. This duo went insane against Oklahoma and deserves the hype they've been getting. Harvey was the Knights' guy on the ground, rushing for 101 yards, including a 54-yard play in the first that kickstarted the offensive momentum. Javon Baker also gained a lot of heat, making huge trick plays, including the 86-yard touchdown pass that had him showing love to the Oklahoma sideline. As previously mentioned in other videos, of course, expect to hear these names a lot as we move along in the season. After an agonizing 4 games that saw UCF's run defense crippled, the defensive side of the Knights was a huge reason as to why they were still in the game. The defensive line stonewalled the Sooners last week, causing 2 missed field goals and 5 punts from an Oklahoma offense that ranked 7th in the nation. The Knights also managed to cause 1 interception and 3 sacks on former UCF quarterback Dylan Gabriels. While there is much to praise for a team that went toe-to-toe against the 6th-ranked team in the country, there are still some glaring problems that eventually caused the Knights to lose. The Knights could not get through the Sooner defense until the second quarter. Until then, the Knights only amassed 20 yards in 4.5 drives for the entire 15 minutes. In a very uncharacteristic fashion for a dual-threat QB, JRP actually went negative in yards against Oklahoma, totaling a whopping -4 yards. This is a stark contrast to the last 5 games played by Plumlee, averaging 62 yards per game. Despite having a great game, the defense once again fell through in the fourth quarter, allowing 2 touchdowns in 6.5 minutes. UCF this season has allowed 89 points in the fourth quarter, close to tying with the other 3 quarters, amassing 111 points across all 3. West Virginia is struggling through a losing streak of their own, losing heartbreaking games to Houston and Oklahoma State. These troubles are actually new to this 2023 Mountaineer team, showing a very impressive 4-1 start to their season, despite many Big 12 spectators writing them off as one of the worst teams in the conference. WVU's defense fell apart in the fourth quarter going against the Cowboys last week, allowing 281 rushing yards to get through them, all of them coming from one man, running back Ollie Gordon II. Penalties also plagued the defense, with one such instance witnessing OSU go up 30 yards for a drive that saw them eventually take the lead and won them the game. The offense had some explosive plays, with players achieving multiple 30-plus yard plays that resulted in touchdowns against the Cowboys. West Virginia quarterback Garrett Green showed off a dual-threat attack, running for 117 yards while also throwing for an additional 249 yards. But where penalties plagued their defense, the offense allowed too many crucial turnovers early and later in the game that paved the way for an OSU victory. As previously mentioned, starting quarterback Garrett Green has played some decent football, possessing a 52.2% completion rate for 1,184 yards, 8 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions. Green has also shown occasional speed bursts through his legs, running for 70-plus yards in 3 out of the 6 games this season. Other notable WVU offensive players are running back CJ Donaldson Jr. and wide receiver Devin Carter, who has rushed for 453 yards and caught for 311 yards respectively. West Virginia boasts 4 players who have received 200 or more yards, while only really possessing one running back besides their QB that has run for more than 200 yards. One 200-plus wide receiver is Preston Fox, who just saw an 81-yard game last week against OSU. The lead tackler for the Mountaineers is linebacker Lee Koba, who has made 51 tackles for West Virginia. Backing up Koba are 3 defensive players who have all made more than 30 tackles so far this season. The WVU defense has also made 14 sacks and 6 interceptions, 2 of those made by cornerback Beanie Bishop Jr. For UCF to win, they need to take advantage of the glaringly weak West Virginia defense. Similar to UCF's defense, the WVU D-line crumbles against a great running back, and with UCF having a great dual-threat QB and the 7th and 9th best running backs in the Big 12, we should be able to run through the Mountaineer D-line. Pair that with UCF having the 2nd and 4th best receiving players in the Big 12, and UCF will pose a beautiful air and ground attack that should throw West Virginia into a frenzy. And with Saturday afternoon being a crisp 84 degrees, this can maybe throw off the northern team's cooler weather and finally produce UCF's first Big 12 win. If the defense can repeat what happened on Saturday and stuff the rush attempt, then I see the Knights dominating the game on their homecoming afternoon. Wholeheartedly, if the Knights can play the same way they did against Oklahoma, then I can easily see UCF having a chance to win out the rest of the season. Thank you for watching this video, and if you like this content, be sure to subscribe. Go Knights and charge on!